Are your stencils all nasty with temporary adhesive and other gunk? Stay tuned because I'll have them squeaky clean and adhesive free in no time. Every technique video is narrated live while I'm doing the technique, so you're getting a real-time view of how the whole process works. Pull out the supplies I'm using and create right along with me, pausing as you need. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Let's face it, our stencils get used. If you've been putting temporary adhesive on the back, sometimes you end up with some paint or paper stuck to it. Sometimes even the temporary adhesive starts to ball up because after you've washed it, it just kind of does that naturally. But it's really kind of hard to clean up. So if you're looking for a way to get these squeaky clean and brand new again, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And it is so simple. So the first thing you're going to need is a container that's big enough for your stencils to lay flat. And then you're going to need some 70% isopropyl alcohol. Now, of course, I recommend that you do this in a well-ventilated area so that way you don't have any issues with fumes. So we're going to take some isopropyl alcohol and I'm going to put a layer on the bottom of our container here. Now, it's best that if possible, the bottom of the container is nice and flat so that way you can use as little of this as possible. But this will work as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stencil and put it face down into the solution and just agitate it around a little bit. All right, and you can even put more than one in here at a time. So I'll put in my second one and agitate that around a little bit. So I'm going to keep the second one face down and put the first one face up and apply just a little bit more alcohol to make sure that that's nice and covered. I'm going to let these sit for about a minute. Okay, so it's been about a minute and I did flip them over once just to make sure they were nice and completely covered with the alcohol. And now you can see that it is just starting to come up all on its own. And this one had some paint on it, so I didn't want to use it again because I didn't want the paint to transfer onto my projects. And the glue was starting to get kind of yucky. So as you can see, I'm just able to use my fingers to go all around and rub that adhesive right off of this. So most temporary adhesives they're water-based, but when you put water on them, they just get gummy. So the alcohol actually works to break up the adhesive properties and just turn it into this kind of yucky goo that is not sticky. So there we go. That one is actually 100% clean. So I'll put that right back in the wash and I'll do this other one here. Now this one had been sprayed a couple of times. So I'm going to get all of these layers off of here. Look, there were these little globs of glue, which will really get in the way when you're using this as a stencil. So it'll lift the stencil up. It'll allow ink to get underneath. It's really just not ideal. So we want to clean all of this junk off of here. And if we need to, we can go ahead and apply a new coat of adhesive if that's what we want to do, or we can leave them nice and clean and be able to use them however we want the next time we need them. So even this detail stencil comes clean in just a matter of minutes. I mean, not even minutes. Like this has taken me probably a minute to go through and do this. And I recommend that if you can, do batch these up, do a couple at a time, so that way you're really using the isopropyl alcohol to its fullest, and you can get a whole bunch of them clean all at one time. So look at that. I mean, it's completely clean right now. So again, just pop these over. And ideally, I'll go over and rinse these off in water, so I'll be right back with them. So here I am at the sink and I'm just going to rinse these off with some warm water, and I'll add in some soap if I need to. When you do this, you might notice that there's still a little bit of tack on your stencils. That's because the alcohol really does remove it, but it becomes saturated with the adhesive pretty quickly. So you may need to dip these a second time and do just one more cleanup. Or you may need to come back and just wipe them down with a paper towel that's got some alcohol on it. But for the most part, you should be able to get a lot of the residual adhesive and other gook off of this at this point. So here we are. These have been washed and dried and they look pretty good, but they do have just a tiny bit of tack still to them. That probably won't really matter too much if I wanted to use them at this point, or if I was going to add adhesive right back onto them. But if I'm not, I just take some paper toweling and wipe them off just one more time to get that last bit of adhesive off of these, and they'll be super squeaky clean and ready to go. So there we go. That got all that extra off of there. You can feel that it's all removed, and you can actually see just that little bit of extra that's still on my paper towel. So I'll go ahead and just finish wiping these off, and they'll be good as new and ready to use for my next project. I hope you enjoyed this technique and you add it into your toolbox sometime soon. When you give it a try, share it out on Instagram and tag me at Nicole Creates. I always love to see what your creative mind is thinking. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. And until next time, happy crafting.